Yo, what's going on? What's going on? That's what my nephew Mackie is saying. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? So my nephew Mackie be saying, y'all get in here. What's going on? Everybody out there, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you are. What's going on? What's going on? And we need to talk about some stuff. We need to talk about some stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We need to talk about some stuff. We need to talk about some stuff, you know? I'm excited to talk to y'all. What's going on? What's going on? Said the mayor. Uh, Make sure that if you're watching, you share this video and let somebody know that the mayor is once again running his mouth. If you're on Instagram, please like, subscribe, and interact with me. Let's jack up the algorithm. Let's jack up the algorithm. What's going on? Happy belated Juneteenth. Definitely gonna touch on Juneteenth. What's up, y'all? Yeah, yeah. Catch my whip. Thank you so much for being you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for always sharing and being a part of this. Listen, y'all. I just want to talk about something you may not have thought about this weekend, something you may have thought about this weekend, but I also want to talk about what's required of those of us who understand this moment, recognize the shortcoming of the party that we belong to, and also those who are in power, and what are we going to decide to do? The ADH me, the soul that lives inside of me that is anxious with not working towards solutions, is extremely bothered by only talking about what the problem is and not offering solutions that can address what's going on right now. And I think for me, the quote that feels like so true to me right now is something I've been thinking about. And it's the struggle for Black political power in 2026 in this moment. No longer it's just about persuading people to vote. It has to be, it is increasingly about whether the structure that make voters matter still exists or will it continue to exist? Let me say that cleaner because it's a thought that I've written down, but I'm trying to articulate it out loud to you all first. This is my first time saying it out loud. And it's how I feel about where we find ourselves in this moment. Again, the struggle for Black political power in this moment in 2026 is no longer just about persuading people to vote. It is increasingly about whether the structures that make vote matter will continue to exist. We have to grapple with the fact that we have a president of the United States of America that is behaving like an authoritarian, doing everything. No longer are we talking about what happened and if this president lost the 2020 election, even though all of us or majority of us understand that he absolutely lost. Majority of us understand that America has free and fair elections, but we have a president sitting in the White House trying to disturb and destroy people's belief about our elections and faith in the systems that maintain elections and the access to the vote. People are saying or pretending that this is not grounded in some narcissistic test that will take and control, give Donald Trump unfettered control over this government, which will happen if the Republicans maintain control of Congress for the next 2 years of this presidency. If they win in November, you can guarantee Donald Trump will be no hold bar. The guardrails, the very small guardrails that you've seen will be gone. And someone said it's like the scene in Lion King where Scar told the hyenas, just come with me, and if we take down Mufasa, we can do whatever we want in Pride Line. You can eat whatever, and you will be free to roam. It is just like that in America in this moment. All of those who have nefarious ideas of what this country should be are making millions and billions, and dare I say trillions, as we exist in a world now where there's a trillionaire, which should never be a thing. There should not be trillionaires in a world where people are hungry, just off of GP. The idea, especially when this person's only client that makes them a zillionaire, it's a trillion, but I said zillion. Because why does it matter with that many zeros? None of us can contemplate what it means. None of us. There's no difference in quality of life for Elon Musk from 2 billion, 30 billion to trillion. If you can do it with 2 billion, you can, if you can do it with a 2 billion, you can do it with a trillion, which means you don't need it. You shouldn't have it. The only client that he has is the American government. So you have a government with poor people, a government with poor people, a government with homeless people, a government with veterans still qualify for food stamps if they got enough kids and their rank is not high enough, giving a access and space for someone to become a trillionaire. So we're obligated to think about all of this and decide what we're going to do with it. I think for me, what's bothering to me is uh, we've so long forgotten what we should have told our 15-year-old selves as soon as we turned 21, 22. I mean, I told myself that it does not matter who likes you. It doesn't even matter if they don't see your worth. You have to live long enough to be who you already are. Those of us who are claiming the title of progressive owe it to those who are not here yet, those who are too young to speak on their behalf or too broken to speak on their behalf, to speak up against what we see ourselves. This current state, the status quo, is broken and breaking people. We need to determine if we're going to play a role in that, fix that, or decide how we fight back against a president who is showing you he does not care about the democratic norms. Not just the democratic norms of the United States, the democratic norms that are put forth by the United Nations, by other nations. And we can no longer pretend that he does or that I'm crazy. Because like I said, Donald Trump is no longer just talking about what happened in the past, although he is still talking about his loss in 2020, saying that it was rigged. And Republicans are going along with this and allowing him to do this, all while they know they're stacking the deck for themselves. If they really thought, if they really thought the election was rigged, then someone need to tell them they also were on the ballot. Does that mean that they won an election that was rigged as well? All the Republicans that won in 2020, was their election rigged? Or are they wanting us to believe that someone had the power, the mechanism to only go in and change votes on that many ballots in the United States for one race? And if so, how? When all of these different states have different ways of voting, use different systems for voting. Might I remind you that Republicans in Georgia pushed back on Donald Trump because he lost that state and the governor would not give in. I'm not trying to say that Brian Kemp is some kind of democratic small d hero, because that would be ridiculous on my part. What I am saying is he did what most Republicans refuse to do in this moment or in any moment since Donald Trump came down that elevator or escalator. They refused to stand up to this monstrosity of a person. They refused to stand up to Donald Trump and his bullying of that party. I am never saying in my life that I've seen a time where Republicans were speaking on the benefit of people who are marginalized, of people who are not white presenting. But I am saying there is something unique about this moment that we find ourselves. And that uniqueness is this is the first time in our lives that we have watched democracy say out loud that it is not meant to be multiracial. It is meant, America's democracy is telling us it is meant for white men only. White people, but white men specifically only, and not all white men. And the buy-in right now is not land-owning black men like it was before the 13th Amendment. The buy-in now is that it is meant for white men who are willing to say yes, sir, to Donald Trump, or yes, your highness, to Donald Trump, and be loyal to Donald Trump. Loyal to a point that it requires you to forgive him for calling your wife ugly, Ted Cruz, or lying about your record and who you are, Marco Rubio. That type of loyalty has no place in democracy, just like a trillionaire has no place in a society that says that send me your muddled masses. That is written script on the tablet of the Statue of Liberty. So we cannot pretend, we shall not, we should not pretend that this ideal of poverty in America has to be, or it is baked in. You have to understand that poverty is a political choice. Poverty, not for the people who are suffering through it, but for those who make policies. Those who are willing to allow a president to spend $2 billion at least a day on a war that he decided for no other reason than he had Benjamin Netanyahu call him and tell him that this is what we need to do. I am arguing that we are obligated to think about what are our mechanisms. We are no longer comfortable being in positions where we just respond to Donald Trump's ridiculousness. How are we sitting still, creating plans that will address this breaking of the system? What do we rebuild in this rubble? What can we do in this moment, progressive minded folk, to think about what's going on? I'm talking about the continued fallout from the weakening of the Voting Rights Act, which is directly an attack on Black people, but it affects all of us. What do we do in this moment on the ongoing voter eligibility crisis that we see bubbling up, and the idea that Donald Trump and his administration will stop because of the loss they received or they figured that they took today? The idea that they will stop fighting, stop trying, is a ridiculous one, and none of us should believe that is the case. None of us should believe that is the case. Now, let me tell you guys what happened to make you understand why I'm telling you this is a direct attack on Blackness. And you need to hear me clearly. All of you need to hear me clearly, because yet again, I'm in another hotel, in another city, in another state, not sleeping in my bed, not comfortable at home, fighting for a democracy that's trying to erase the idea that I even exist. Today, a federal judge, a federal court stepped in and told Donald Trump and his administration that they cannot create a list of people that will consider that they are calling verified voters. It is illegal. Think about this. They were trying to say we're going to create a list of citizens based on the voter rolls that states send us, and these are the only people that can receive mail-in ballots. A judge told them that they can't do that today. It's illegal. Anybody that believes that Donald Trump's administration is going to stop here or just will still not do it has not been paying attention to what we've witnessed over this last year and a half or so. We've seen judges say you can't, or we've seen protocols say you can't. We've seen strategies and strategists say you cannot. And yet we've watched Donald Trump administration power forward through all of what you all call political norms. We've seen him eat the Constitution and shit it out. Excuse me for being vulgar, but that's what's happening. We watched the East Wing disappear, not because it was approved by citizens or the national park, who has right and control over that house. Supposedly the White House is a museum controlled by the National Park Service and historians. No, just because Donald Trump wanted to get rid of it for a ballroom that's bigger than the White House, that is gaudy and ridiculous. We've witnessed this president say, fuck your Constitution. And nobody sound the alarm. We've witnessed this president take gifts in the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars from other countries We've witnessed this president make money off of insider trading in a way that will make Marjorie Taylor Greene disgusted. And she made a lot of money off insider trading. So when I tell you that if you believe that just because a judge said no, then you're crazy. We are in danger. And we have personalities out here trying to attack people. Let me stop for a moment for a Mundell commercial because I'm about to drink something and I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, he's drinking." I am not drinking on air. I am not promoting alcohol. It is wine, but it has no alcohol in it. So it's champagne, but it has no alcohol in it. So you see it says alcohol removed. Don't anybody think I'm drinking when you see my glass come in the screen. I got my alcohol-less champagne. I got my coffee and my water. So back to what I was saying. We need to get serious about what we do and how we push back on the status quo. I don't want to call someone's name. I don't want to call anybody's name. But I want to tell y'all something that happened. I was approached by one of the auxiliaries, and I'm talking about on the Democratic Party, one of his auxiliaries. And I'll just leave it at that so that I don't, embarrass anybody. This person of color, black woman, told me, "Oh yeah, we want to do a listening session. We want to talk to people, real people." This is after I've told them that they're not reaching people. So to me, even this conversation still feels transactional because they're not hearing me, because they're still trying to use it as an opportunity to get these people's story so that they can stream it to other people and win over voters for it. So to me, it still felt cheap. It felt dastardly. So I'm asking, well, what is the purpose of this? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to convey? And who you want to talk to? It's like, oh yeah, well, you told us, we talk too much about the problems of rich black men or black men with college degrees. I'm like, oh, so they wanted a regular brother. But then they said, oh, by the way, we're gonna vet that person. And I'm asking them, how do you vet somebody for their struggle? How do you vet somebody for realness? No, 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 no. We're not gonna vet for we're gonna vet them on to see their history and their social media post. I at that point was extremely turned off because at this moment, I think our party is completely freaking oblivious to what's happening in America. Everybody who participated in January 6th had their record wiped clean. And we are talking about vetting people who are struggling. We are still playing politics in a way that excludes people by a standard that the Republican president doesn't even follow. Mind you, he has 34 convictions himself, 34 felony convictions himself. And the Democratic Party is telling me, send me some brothers that trust you, people that trust me, so that they can record and use their story, but only if they can pass their vetting. I don't know if y'all remember this. I had this problem with the last administration about vetting people, and I would not show up because I back in when they were running, when the Biden Harris team was running for president, I refused to allow them to come to some of my events because, or I should say, what's correct is I refused to go to some of their events because they wanted to vet me when I was invited to this is the Biden Harris campaign, not to be clear, not the Harris Waltz campaign. They wanted to vet, and I don't have a problem standing. Everybody know who I am anyway, so that's not the problem. The problem is when these people knew I was having events, large events in Atlanta and other places where a lot of people are going to be, they made sure that they sent people without vetting. That means you are exploiting our event, our work to get recognized and say, oh, we was at this cultural important event. We was at this event that meant something to black men, so it matters. But they wanted to pick and choose which black men could come to their events. So for that reason, I was frustrated with them. And I felt that again a couple of days ago when I got this call. And I refuse to subject my people to any embarrassment from a party that continues to fail with billions of dollars. Because what would black men that have something that may be sketchy on their background, what would their life be if they had the ability to spend as much money as the Democratic Party and its auxiliaries spend? Y'all give me 1 second. Hey, I'm on live. Can I call you back? Bye. Thank you. Love you. So I'm asking you all, like, what happens when someone has the ability to stand up and spend? What do black men look like if a fraction of what is spent, the billions that are spent politically, are truly spent to engage them? What does it look like to take away this idea that you need to vet people? And your vet does not really apply to everybody. Because if the campaigns truly vetted people, then why would you show up to a debate with someone with 34 felony convictions? Shouldn't it be dastardly to be in the room with Donald Trump, who is responsible for the death of more than 300,000 people by killing USID? Shouldn't it be dastardly to be affiliated with monies coming from Elon Musk when we know that he bought Twitter to change the algorithm to make it so that white people and black people are at constant grid? What I mean by that is I have a friend, a white friend who's in this political space who interacts with everybody and in a way that I don't and would never be comfortable doing. And then his friend did an experiment. He created a new Twitter account, didn't follow anybody, just created the basics about him, white male, certain age. And we watched his algorithm for a few days. And what we found, for a time period, and what we found was the only things that was being fed to him by this algorithm, mind you, this person didn't follow a single person. Didn't follow a single person, didn't post, but his timeline, the algorithm kept feeding to him videos of black people beating on white people. Enough is enough, is what they were saying with black men mugshots. Black men beating on white men. This is what the algorithm, Elon Musk bought it to do just this with the algorithm. And we are comfortable with this idea. He didn't create it, he bought it and manipulated the algorithm to make it racist. He is, and I'm not saying that every white person from South Africa is racist, but Elon Musk has showed us that he is the party. He is the party. He is the South African energy that supports the segregation. What they call it apartheid regime. And Donald Trump is showing you that he too is a part of that. While he may not be South African, while he may his roots may be from Germany, he is showing us that he has Nazi blood and ideas in him. And what I mean by that is Donald Trump, the he I'm talking about now is Donald Trump. He would support anything that strips blackness of dignity. Make it make sense, Mundell. Well, I don't know if you guys heard this or not. I don't know if y'all heard this or not. I don't know if y'all heard this or not. Tying it in, I'm trying to tell you. Donald Trump's government, the federal government, the Department of Justice, which is not a separate entity under this administration. Department of Justice has shown us that it is Donald Trump's personal law firm. Donald Trump's Justice Department is acting just as his personal law firm. They are filing suit against his enemies. They are suing people against him that stands against him. They are attacking elected officials who speak out and remind people what their roles should be. And now Donald Trump's Department of Justice, check this out, is not only doing craziness as it pertains to voting, as it pertains to Donald Trump's enemy. Now, Donald Trump's Justice Department decided it was going out to Evanston, Indiana. I'm sorry, I said Indiana, I meant Illinois. Why does that matter, Mundell? Well, Evanston, Illinois, if y'all don't know this or not, became one of the first, it may be the first reparations program for Black Americans. The city, with their money, created their own reparations program. Now the Justice Department is trying to intervene, challenging the reparations program, which said they were giving assistance, program assistance to help Black people buy houses. Did you hear that? The federal government, the Department of Justice, is intervening in a city in Illinois. Evanston, Illinois created a housing program that, as part of their reparations package, that helps Black people purchase homes. These are people. Now listen, check out how this reparations program works. You have to be from a family that is tied to housing discrimination in that city to get it. This is a problem that this city did. They discriminated against Black people, housing wise. And they said, to make up for this, we shall create a fix. Donald Trump, the man who pardoned everybody who participated on J6 and created, that's right, Cash My Whiff, created a nearly $2 billion reparation package for January 6ers. And his Justice Department participated in that. That same Justice Department is going after Black people from trying to buy houses in a city that is trying to make right from their problems. Do not pretend that you don't understand what's happening in these Americas. Not all of them, just the United States of America. Don't pretend that you can't understand how and why people are saying that Donald Trump is anti-American. Also, for my people on Twitter alone, because I have these conversations on Twitter. All of you Black MAGAs, all of y'all so-called freedmen, and all of you other people, I want to know why y'all so quiet on Donald Trump Justice Department going directly after a reparations program for Black people. Y'all were so mad the Democrats did not put forth a reparations program. Now you actively have not someone just against it. They are fighting the first citywide reparations program for housing, and you guys ain't said a damn thing. It's because you all bought into this narrative that it was more important to be funny and have follows and get liked and reposted and go viral than to understand what the moment was with Donald Trump. This is not just about Evanston, and I need y'all to understand what I'm saying to you. Donald Trump's Justice Department going after Evanston in Illinois tells us or signals to other fucking programs or potentially future reparations efforts nationwide. This is how it's going to be attacked. Or maybe this is shaping the whole conversation so that it is so unhealthy, so burdensome, that it will be no more reparations programs because the cost to administer them through these conversations, these legal conversations with the Justice Department will be too expensive. Think about this. People in Evanston, Illinois decided that we needed to do this to make right our neighbors. But their tax dollars are being weaponized against them because they pay taxes that go to the federal government. And now the federal government is using those tax dollars to fund this Department of Justice litigation against these people. Think about that. From a party that swears it's about state rights and local rights, now being at odds with them over that very thing. So any local government, and I run a town, I'm the mayor of a town. So any local government that's considering any race conscious remedies for any wrong that it committed are watching this closely, and it's icing. It's got a chill effect on them. And people might say, oh, you're overreacting. How am I overreacting when you know, maybe you don't? Small towns, which majority of the towns in America are small towns. There are not a lot of Los Angeles and New Yorks and Houstons and Atlantas and Denvers and Chicago's and Detroit's. Majority of the towns in this country are small, don't have budgets to fight the Justice Department on remedies for problems that they created based on race. They and the Justice Department, as goofy and stupid as they may be, they understand that. It is the threat, the fear, the chilling effect of this lawsuit, this litigation, or this potential litigation is all that is the motive. That is it. That is the fear that they need to threaten or stop anything else that looked like it could work. It not to mention that if a judge or a court comes out and rule against Evanston, it's going to be extremely hard to create similar programs. And they understand that. Anywhere else, this is not just here. We know this. And this is not me just speaking. There's other people that spoke on this. AP News did an article about this very thought that if Donald Trump's administration is successful at challenging Evanston, Illinois, then they're gonna be successful, and it's gonna be harder for other municipalities. This is not just about Illinois. This is not just about a suburb to Chicago, or this is not just about a town in Illinois, the Pride Land. This is not just because it's in a so-called blue state. It's a test case on whether the federal government can legally address or step in when a local government is trying to legally address historical harm. Did you hear what I said? It is a test case on whether the local governments have the right to address legal harms, historically legal harms. And why that matters? Because this is a government that was supposedly set up to have a decentralized government. And the only thing centralized was things that were dealing with federal purview, things that the Constitution said was theirs. This is a grand expansion on the power of the president, man. People be like, oh, this is the Justice Department. The Justice Department, again, in this case, is acting like Donald Trump's personal law firm. The Justice Department needs to change its name to the Law Office of Trump Be Stupid, LLC or PLC or whatever it is. Because that's exactly what we're getting in this moment. And if the federal government wins, nowhere will it be legal to offer Black people corrections. Imagine someone being able to prove, and I know they probably already have, that Black Bottom Detroit, that highways that ran through it, that closed off exits, that destroyed Black Bottom Detroit, was based on race. Well, now the Department of Justice was going to challenge them or say you can't fix that, even though we know this wealth was extracted from this community by this process. What if they say downtown on 9th Street in Little Rock, the closing of exits in that Black district, that Black booming district, was destroyed by closing off exits, putting a highway through there so that you can't get to those businesses? We already know that's the case. Right down the street from President Clinton's library, this happened. We know that's true. Mosaic sits in a space. Mosaic is a Black museum, African American museum in Little Rock. These are truths, but these cities can't make it right in this climate. So you got a president on one hand trying to build a new voter verification system at the federal level, a process that the Constitution is clear that the states get to manage their own elections. This is a serious overreach of federal government powers, and we must say that it is simply the federal administration of this president, because the House and the Senate are just acting too passive in this moment. We're acting too passive in this moment. You got the federal government challenging cities. Imagine that. We don't need to continue to talk about, well, we do need to continue to talk about the Cali decision and how it stripped the, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. We absolutely do. But when we talk about it, we need to be talking about what is the plan of action when Democrats are back in power to ensure that we codify the John Lewis Voting Rights Act immediately. How do we immediately codify so we never have to worry about what's going on right now? How do we ban partisan gerrymandering immediately? How do we create a system that says, think about this, if a candidate is not coming, if a candidate comes to you, if you see someone simply talking about, think about this. If you see someone talking about running for office or their name is on the ballot and all they can tell you is Trump is evil and I'm going to get rid of Trump, I'm going to fix his problems. If they're not talking about what their plans are to address the voting rights situation, to affect the overreach of the federal government, how do we eliminate institutions of Jim Crow that still exist, i.e. the filibuster? How do we eliminate this? How do we expand the Supreme Court to match the number of federal districts we have? We have 9 justices, but we have 13 federal districts. How do we expand the Supreme Court to match the current need? How do we remove complete partisan control of the Supreme Court? How do we put a retirement age on some of the supremacists? Ooh, look at the soul speaking. Look at the soul speaking. How do we put a age limit on some of the Supreme Court justices? On all of them? How do we say this many can be appointed by Republicans, this many can be appointed by Democrats, and this number has to be nonpartisan selected? Because why not? Why do we continue to take money, federal taxes from people in the District of Columbia, DC, and not give them a senator or 2 senators or a representative in the House? How do we complain that we are proud that we tore back and fought back British rule because of taxation without representation when DC is living through it right now in 2026? These are questions that do not simply affect these municipalities. These are questions that have powerful ramifications for our entire democracies. These are guardrails that we need for the 2026 moment. So I said to you in the title, we seen their move, now what? This is the now what we must address. This is the now what we must address. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to simply bring to people the problems of Donald Trump? That is not a winning strategy. You cannot just talk about the orange shit that is Donald Trump. It is not enough to tell people that he is racist, that he is sexist, that he's bigoted. None of that's going to matter enough to win an election. We saw that in the last election. You guys spent $1 billion talking about Donald Trump, and it did not win us an election. You cannot make him a boogie monster that's going to motivate people. What's going to motivate people is if you speak to the problems that he lied about. Donald Trump did not care about affordability, even though it's one of the reasons he won the election, speaking to what he was going to do. Donald Trump does not care about forever wars or any wars or starting them, because we just saw him start potentially two wars, Venezuela and Iran. We watched that happen. But he warned, telling people that he was going to bring troops home. People were tired of forever wars. People are tired. So if we don't have we don't have an answer about what we're going to do politically for these problems, that feeling will still exist in folk. That feeling will still exist in folk, and they're going to still be looking for answers from a person, a party. There's no political safe space if you don't answer these questions for people who are not crazy about the party already. Meaning, if people aren't political animals, you cannot scare them, and you cannot shame them and say, oh, your ancestors died for your right to vote. That's not going to be a motivating factor. When people are living on the margins and you're acting as if the vote is going to cure that, and they've seen their people vote over and over and over, and they still exist in this nothingness that is struggle. You sound crazy blaming these people for their problems when we know closing hospital has nothing to do with anything except for decisions made by people not in their communities. When they know the cost of food, gas, the cost to exist, the bare necessities is more expensive, not because of these poor people living on the margins, it's because of policies. And you want to bring to them a story about how scary Donald Trump is. You can't boogeyman these people who are working 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. It is not your answer. I'm telling you right now, don't think that is the cure for what's ailing the populace, the voting populace. It's not. If you're not speaking, again, let me remind you, if you're not speaking to the hunger of affordability, if you don't have a plan, candidates, that really address what people are suffering through, how expensive it is to have a citizen, to be a citizen of the United States, it is expensive just because you was born here. Fix it. Needs to be, or a plan to how we address it. Starting to fix it is how you talk to voters this cycle. Talking about the need to get out of foreign wars, the need to address globalism in a way that does not sounds crazy, but it also has to be realistic that we're not creating more and more trillionaires while we let people starve. These are real problems that people felt. And you gotta be a candidate that's putting forth solutions. And guess what? I don't care what the strategist in DC tells you. I don't care what the party tells you. I don't care what the pollster tells you. Running a bunch of ads is not going to win an election. First of all, your ads are trash. They don't sound real. They don't reach people, and you don't even know where people are. You're running ads talking to people who are already locked in voting, super voters, talking to people watching MSNBC, CNN, and Fox and ABC. Most of those people are going to vote anyway. And y'all out here pretending that you're doing something big. You did it big. You did your thing. You did your big thing by running ads, not investing in people in a way that really is transformative. Doesn't work like that. You don't win elections in that manner. This is 2026. And that tactic, that strategy, that idea, that thinking is failure. It's failure. So I'm telling people, if you see campaign ads before you see candidates, you should be weary. Why are you seeing these people on your TV before you see them in your community? Red flag. Red flag that that person has too many consultants around them and not enough real people. If there's an ad on TV before you see these people or anybody from their campaign in your community, you should be weird. You should be weary of those people. Those people are not who we looking for in this moment. Maybe they should run for dog catcher. And I'm not saying that dog catcher is not an important job because it is. I am saying that you should not be deciding policies that lead people's lives when you think it's acceptable to be on their TVs and you've not been in their communities. You or your campaign staff have not been in their community addressing or listening so you can create strategy to address their problems. I know it is easy. It is easy to sit behind this camera and talk at what shit happened, but I am not a Monday morning quarterback. I am not. I am at practice because I run political organizations. I am not a Monday quarterback because I have been a candidate and have won 2 elections for myself. I am not a Monday morning quarterback because I understand strategy and also I know how to push back on the bullshit that comes from DC or any capital city in these states across this country. So this is not a Monday morning quarterback perspective. This is really what needs to be done if we are to address the idea that maybe in 2028 JD Vance can't win an election if we run the proper election, or Marco Rubio. or anybody from that party, because the current state of that party is dastardly. It's cowardly. It's cowardly. And we are pretending like this is the normal. Donald Trump lies and lies and lies. And we are acting as if it's normal. This man was on the freaking international stage at the G7 summit, talking like he was a third grader on a playground about his dad's car being the biggest car in the neighborhood. But the car he was talking about is our military. A man, think about this, from the so-called party, masculine parties. They will tell you that the Democratic Party is a party of fairies. Nothing wrong with fairies. Weak men. But but think about this. Donald Trump dodged the draft. And you got these so-called manly men acting like he's a hero because he had grown men rolling around in tights on the backyard of the White House. Y'all make it make sense. Y'all make it make sense for me because I'm confused at what we are doing as a people in this moment. How are we pretending that any of this is normal? Who told you that manliness is about hurting people? Who told you that masculinity is about being sexist? Who told you that masculinity and manliness meant you need to be bigoted or anti-LGBTQI or anti-woman or anti-feminist? Who the fuck gave you those stupid definitions of masculinity? You don't need a big truck, a big gun, or a big thing to be manly. You simply need a heart and understand that you may be stronger than other people. Therefore, you should be standing up for said people. That's the definition of manliness that matters. The one person who will be willing to be out there by themselves because they know they're speaking for what's right. Our politics lack the true definition of manliness. We got consultants pretending. Right now, I swear to y'all, the reason I'm talking about this is there are consultants telling the party, oh, you need to find more manly looking men to speak to white manly men. What the fuck is you trying to elect Paul Bunyan? Should I get an axe and chop down a fucking cherry tree? Should I chew a nail on TV? Should I spit a bullet out? We cannot be that stupid in our strategy. Put a blue suit on, get a white shirt and a red. Fuck all that. Go talk to some real people. Go talk to somebody who is struggling. Listen to these people. Listen to these people. We are losing a war, and I'm telling you, this is a war. All our people are gearing up for the 250th anniversary. The No Kings protest should be preparing for the biggest event of their thing for July 4th. It should be the biggest No Kings event. Should be the biggest. We just watch people going to their corners and clicking up, ruin Juneteenth. Harlem had a Juneteenth event, y'all. But instead of them sharing the feed with several people, they shared the feed with one company, Root. And what happened? For 18 minutes, that feed was nowhere to be found, nowhere to be found. Part of it is because these people are cliquish and the people in charge of it and the people speaking on it, these people speaking to each other in an echo chamber that does not include other people. And I don't care what your intentions are. I don't care what your intentions are. When you are so egotistical that you believe you are speaking for people because you are part of that demographic, even though you know in your soul of souls that you're just a pundit. You've never organized any of these people, and you're just afraid that you may not be relevant if you told that truth. But that's real leadership, being willing to step aside or acknowledge where your shortcoming is. But that's not what we're seeing right now. We're seeing people choose their friends and elevate their friends at the expense of regular people. People are promoting people that they know damn well can't do work. And I know that because they'll come back to me and tell the truth of how sloppy or how ignorant these people are. Yet in public, they'll promote them. And I just want y'all to see. I just want y'all to see how they feel. Look at the racism. Look at the racism. For what? For why? And I put that on stage for you can see how these people are affected by truth. Look at this. I'm talking about poverty. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about everything that's affecting people in America. And this person says you are a pointless race. What is pointless? I sit here and glimmer. I glimmer. I glimmer. I ooze what makes Scott Von M9V irrelevant. And it bothers you. You are telling me I am a part of a nothing race, a pointless race, as you sit on my stream somewhere on YouTube following fucking me. I've never been to anything you wrote. I've never seen anything you did. Yet you are over here talking about a pointless race. See, I know you trigger. I know you trigger some weak motherfuckers. I ain't one of them. My boy, I don't play those games. You people come over here and get called out. And if you don't know me, you should ask some people who've been following me. I don't play games. I don't. I'm not afraid. I don't back down. That shit y'all do over on other channels where people don't address you, I'll tell you straight to your face, you are nothing to me. You are nothing to me. And when I'm done talking to you, I'll put your stupid ass in timeout, just like you've been in timeout. And when I'm done with you being in timeout, I'll ban your stupid ass. Go play in traffic. Don't go play in traffic. That's dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that. But do not ever come over here with your racism thinking it's going to go unaddressed in my chat. It's not me. Never has been. Never will be. Period. So, like I was saying, the idea that we are allowing DC consultants who speak to themselves to exist in this space with so much power over how our politicians show up is a critique of us, actually, because we should say, don't come to my community. Don't come to my community town hall. Don't come to my church. Don't come to my son's games, my daughter's games. Don't come anywhere near my community until you're coming and listen to my community. I don't want to see you on TV. I reject your mail. And if you send me an email, I'm going to keep hitting spam so much that you may get put on a spam list from one of these major email providers. Until you show up in our community with solutions, we don't want to see your emails. We don't want to see you asking for $1.50 or $2.75, or we don't care that you're $150,000 short. We don't care about your ads and what patriotism look like to you. We don't care that you're walking around the community in a blue suit in 80 degrees, acting like you're normal. We don't want to see any of those commercials. We don't want to see anything in our mailbox with a flag on it. We don't want to see none of that until you came to our community and showed us that you give a damn, or that you have a plan to address affordability, because it's not a hoax. It's not a made up world. People cannot afford to exist in this country. It's why so many people in this country are homeless and hungry. Homeless and hungry. It's why so many people in this country are choosing between what are necessities Can you imagine people telling you you live in the richest country in the world, but you can't afford to pay your light bill? Can you imagine people telling you you live in the richest country in the world, but but you can't buy food to feed you or your kids or your spouse. Imagine people telling you that you live in the richest country in the world, but you're about to file bankruptcy because of insurance, health insurance, couldn't or didn't pay for something. That ain't the richest country in the world, not to you. And does it really matter that you live in the richest country in the world if you are fucking suffering from it? Does it matter that people are dying? Boca, what's up? Does it matter that people are dying from your government in ways that they could actually be alive and living and thriving if equity mattered, if humanity mattered? If you look at the separation, the stratus, the difference between the top 1% and the bottom 50% in this country, I need people to understand why they are the top 1%. Because I don't say top 1% because they earn the most or they don't earn because they have the most. I call them 1% because they're standing on everybody. That's why they're the top. They're at top of systems and structures because they're standing on everybody else. That ain't a top I want to be a part of. I'm 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 bothered. I'm bothered. Wait, what happened? You got muted? What? I don't want you muted, brother. So let me know if something happened. And I think I'm so bothered. I'm so bothered that we are existing. Oh, yeah, it's always gonna be YouTube and all the other sites when truth is being spoken in certain manners. You could be. We was talking about Twitter earlier. How and people call it the other name. I still Twitter to me. People, you could be anti-black over there, but the minute you say anything in response to that behavior, your profile is flagged. So I'm glad you unmuted, man. Here, I'm glad you're also there even when they try to shut you down and prevent you from having a voice. And I think it does matter that we make sure that we show up. So here's my commitment. This is what I'm talking to people about, making sure that now what for me is this. I'm gonna make sure that I'm like I've been doing recently. I'm gonna make sure that I'm speaking to you all at least twice a week in this format. But I'm also going to get back to writing more so that it lives for people that can't watch or don't want to watch, people that want to read. I'm going to get back on my Substack writing. I'm going to get back to being serious on my Substack with my writing because it matters. And I think if we're being serious about what needs to be done, we need to make sure that we are showing up in every matter. So that's what I'm going to do. My Substack is going to be active again. I'm going to be back at it. I'm going to make sure that we are writing regularly over here as well. I'm also going to be a part of a new conversation that's coming to y'all real soon, but on every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and a brother out in Oregon, a white guy, still my brother. Um, we're going to be out. We're going to be speaking uh, about some political solutions to these moments. So again, let me recount so you guys can hold me accountable. And I know that's why some of the people on YouTube have been slow to come back because they've seen something out of the clickbait family. other than Ben, who is the most consistent. Here's what we need to do. We need to be consistent in this moment. And the only thing I missed about being on TYT is the daily deadlines that came up 5 days a week that I had to meet because it forced me to speak 5 times a week about some shenanigans that was going on in this country. And I feel like I owe that to the people. So I'm going to make sure that there are at least 5 ways that people hear from me a week. Like I said, bi-weekly, you guys will get this format where I'm speaking directly in this manner on Monday morning or Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be on another podcast with someone. That's stay tuned for that. And then my Substack. I'm going to be writing on my Substack. So you guys are going to get that from me all the time because that's what we need in this moment. So that we are not being hoodwinked by the bullshit that they call political speak on CNN, on MSNBC, on Fox, and all the other channels where people are simply playing games, inviting people that are famous for being famous, not because they've created anything. And if you think I'm lying, you guys are being told what we need to do politically by people who never worked on a campaign. I love Charles Blow. He ain't never ran a campaign. He's a journalist. So him offering strategy sounds crazy to me. I love Adam Mockler. Him providing strategy is crazy to me. I like how he gets Republicans in check. But that's what we need to draw the line. We need to make sure that let the news stations that are ran by really conservative entities continue to perform in the way that they do. I'm not trying to knock anybody. But when it comes to this work, I owe this and everything I know to all of you all who have been here and continue to be here. And those that can't make it, it needs to live. So maybe you can bump into it on the internet streets somewhere and somehow. I'm Mundell Robinson. I'm going to see you guys again this week. Peace and blessings.